All right, here we go. Salute to Knicks Nation on this Wednesday afternoon. The wait is over, and it is time to talk championship caliber games here. You know, these two teams, they waited till March, the schedule makers, to put these two teams on a collision course. 2 games in the month of March between the Knicks and the OKC Thunder. Round 1 will start tonight at the world's most famous arena. Both teams looking to win their 4th in a row. And of course, the MVP, he waited. He said, forget Chicago, meet me in New York. So the MVP is going to be ready. Captain Clutch Jalen Brunson, coming off of his heroics against the Raptors, are going to be ready. And we're going to see what especially these New York Knicks are made of. You know, Thunder got the rings. Knicks are trying to get there. And this is once again another championship caliber test on the national stage. So we'll see what the Knicks have in store. And joining me today to cover this one, he covers the OKC Thunder as a beat writer for Daily Thunder. Also an insider for the Franchise Sports Oklahoma. And then also Thunder Roundtable and a co-host for OKC Dream Team. Our guy returning to the show, Brandon Raybar, in the building. Hit the like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. Let's get into it. Man, been looking forward to this one for quite some time, since the schedule came out, man. How you been, man? How you doing?
I've been good. I've been good. Thanks for having me back, man.
Yeah, for sure. Let's get right into it, because we just checked before we started the show. This game starts at 7 o'clock. I mean, I don't know what the schedule. This has been the most 7 p.m. games at Madison Square Garden that I've seen. Quite unorthodox for the Knicks, when they've a lot of times they play a lot of 7:30 games. Sometimes you see 8, but 7 p.m. early start time for two teams coming off of on the second night of a back-to-back. It's kind of interesting.
It is wild to see, because both of them just played like 20 hours ago. So for them to have this early tip. But you know what? The Knicks are really good. The Thunder are really good. They get these national primetime TV slots. So I guess it's just the price you pay for having a good team.
Now, speaking of which, talk to me about narratives, because here in New York, the narrative around this team has kind of been a carryover from last year, where this team has championship caliber expectations. They have not been able to beat the best in their respective conference, which is the Pistons. Last year, it was the Celtics, it was the Cavaliers, and also the Thunder. The Thunder on the other side, coming off of the championship season, have been kind of little brother to the Spurs. What's been the narrative this year for the Thunder from that championship purview?
Yeah, the Thunder started off 24-1, and the narrative was this is going to be one of the most dominant teams of all time. Like, they could possibly beat like the Bulls and Warriors, go for 74 wins, maybe join the 70-win club. But then a bunch of injuries just piling on. Jalen Williams has missed most of the season. Shai just came off of missing 9 straight games. He's missed double-digit games. Isaiah Hartenstein, former Knick. Thunder fans very thankful to have him, by the way. We'll talk about him, I'm sure. He's missed a lot of games. Alex Caruso has missed a lot of games. Just up and down the roster, everybody's missed a lot of games. So after that 24-1 start, there's been ups and downs. Still the best record in the NBA, just not the 70-win team that they looked like before, but they're starting to get healthier. They won't have J-Dub or AJ Mitchell tonight, but they are getting healthier, and they're starting to play more like the Thunder championship team that we've come to expect.
When you think about this team as it relates to last year, what's the one thing that makes you feel like they're better than last year, and what's the one area that you're concerned in terms of their chances to repeat?
Yeah, so I think that they're better because AJ Mitchell, he's hurt right now. He's been missing like a lot of games recently, unfortunately. But when he was healthy, he looked like a true 6-man of the year candidate. And he was a guy that got hurt after 30 or so games last year. He wasn't in the playoff rotation. And if you could look at the Thunder team last year and say there's one thing that you wish that they could have added in the playoffs, it would have been a third ball handler, shot creator next to SJ and Jalen Williams. They have that in AJ Mitchell once he's back healthy. And then they also at the trade deadline added Jared McCain. So added like another bench scorer, shooter, spacer, some more offense coming off the bench. So I think that those two guys, AJ Mitchell and Jared McCain, plus the championship experience, I think those things make the team better. As far as like, possible reasons to say that they might not win it again, um, I would just say the health concerns. Like if this team is healthy, I think they have a great chance of repeating as champions, but they haven't been healthy all season. And it's been, to every player on the roster. If they can get healthy going into the playoffs, I like their chances. But they got to get some chemistry and get in a rhythm with all their guys on the court though first.
AJ Mitchell's been tremendous and a Knicks draft pick. And, they had their reasons, whether it's financially or what have you, to trade that pick and ultimately get Tyler Kolek there. But AJ Mitchell, man, when I saw that kid, I said, whoa, the rich are definitely getting richer here. What's been your impressions of the Knicks and watching them this season?
Oh man, they've been great. Speaking of like, the Thunder have had their hard times with the Spurs and going back to the NBA Cup and then what we just saw a couple nights ago, the Knicks just have the Spurs number, it looks like. I mean, that was a healthy Spurs team.
Yeah.
And the Knicks, like both those games, the NBA Cup game and a couple nights ago, I mean, I've been impressed with the Knicks overall this season anyways. To me, they look stronger and with the Pacers, unfortunately out of it this season. And with Boston, not sure if they're going to get Jason Tatum back or not. And then the Pistons, I know that they're a great regular season team, but in the postseason, that offense, you got some concerns. I think the East is wide open.
Yeah,
and
me
the
too.
Knicks, how they've been playing, how I've seen them compete against some of the top teams in the NBA, including the Spurs. I think they have as good a shot of anybody that's coming out of the East.
I'm with you on that as well. And if I had to point to my reasoning why this Knicks team can go further, I would have to say it's with their depth. They didn't have it last year. They were really scraping by with that bench unit. And again, nothing against those guys, but half of the guys that they had on the bench are no longer on the team. Even though guys like Precious Achiuwa, he's found more life with the Kings, but Cameron Payne is not even in the league anymore. Delon Wright is not even in the league anymore. But Mike Brown has valued and played guys like Landry Shamet, Jordan Clark, like different guys have had, their moments in the spotlight throughout the course of the season. And just like OKC, the Knicks have had to deal with a lot of injuries as well. And they've been fortunate to have the depth step up. So it was Shamet who started the year, then he gets hurt. Then it's Clarkson and it's Kolek. Then they slide back into the end of the bench because they go pick up a Jose Alvarado when Miles McBride gets hurt. So each of those guys off the bench have been really valuable at different moments throughout the season. And I think that's one thing that I can say is going to be a positive for this Knicks team going into the playoffs, plus the emergence of a Mohamed Diawara. And where OKC has that embarrassment of riches from an asset standpoint, the Knicks have been losing them as they've been building this contender in that Jalen Brunson era. So for a guy like a Diawara who was drafted with the 51st pick, to be contributing on both ends of the floor as a versatile wing, I think that's been a huge benefit for them.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think Alvarado was a great pickup. I think last year, you looked at the starters for the Knicks, and I was like, that starting unit is as good as any starting five in the NBA. But you're right. It was the depth. It was the 6, 7, 8, 9 guys that you got to have in the playoffs. These series get long. There's a lot of minutes to go around. Playoff basketball is physical, so you need that depth. I think the Nuggets had the same issue last year as far as depth. They had a great starting unit, but not the depth. I think I really, really like the moves that the Knicks made. I really do think that if you look at the Knicks starting five and you look at the depth and you look around the East, I think there's only really 4 teams that I can really see coming out of the East, and the Knicks are absolutely one of those top 2 or 3, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. Now the chat is correcting me. Cam Payne, aka Terry Johnson, is alias. He is back in the league, so I'll put some respect on his name. He did make it back to the Sixers. Well, I'm not really checking for the Sixers like that, so I totally forgot. So shout out to the chat. They're always on top of it, and they keep me honest here. So welcome back, Cameron Payne. But I would say, from a question mark standpoint for the Knicks, it's always been who outside of Jalen Brunson will be able to deliver consistently when playoff defenses really hunker down, especially in the half court? To me, it's Karl Anthony Towns, and he's been playing very well as of late on both ends of the floor, and also his fit in this new offense, this new style for Mike Brown, and looking for more versatility and more diversification in that offense. And then from a tertiary standpoint, it's definitely a guy like a Mikal Bridges, a guy who can get into his mid-range bag and also turn defense into offense. I want to see what those two guys are going to do, especially when this team goes deeper into the playoffs, because, all eyes are going to be on Jalen Brunson. The opposing team, we're going to see it tonight. It's going to be, they're going to be throwing the kitchen sink from the Cason Wallaces to the other wings. And so it's going to have to be other guys like those two guys that are going to need to step up.
Yeah. So the Knicks, to win in the playoffs, traditionally, to make a deep run, you got to have like a top 10 player. And I think Jalen Brunson is right there. Wherever you have him ranked, he's a top 10-ish player in the NBA. But then he's also got a great number 2 in Karl Anthony Towns as far as like the scoring goes, especially to have a 7-footer that can, stretch out a defense, pull out a big. The fact that Cat can shoot from deep, I think that's a great. I really, really like the pairing of Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns. But then you have these like elite role players like Bridges and like OG, like Josh Hart. I just think it's a great fit. Like, not only do they have the top end talent in Brunson, but you got that Robin, that sidekick, an elite guy in Cat, and then elite role players around him. So yeah, I really do think that's why I'm so excited about tonight's matchup. It's Madison Square Garden. It's the champs versus very possibly a team that they could face. This could be possibly an NBA Finals preview.
Big time. And speaking of which, I mean, let's talk about the two heads of the snake. Number one in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He was sidelined for quite some time with the abdominal injury. Came back in overtime victory over the Nuggets. 36 points for Shai there. 12 of 29 shooting. And then in the win over the Mavericks, 30 points. So has it seemed like the MVP skipped a beat? He looks like he's picking up right where he left off.
Yeah, it's crazy. Shai missed nearly a month. Missed 9 straight games with that ab strain, comes back, and it really doesn't look like a missed beat. He was on a minute restriction, by the way, too. Like in that Nuggets game, he probably goes for 40, but he didn't get to play in the overtime because the minutes restriction was 34 minutes. So he played for 34 minutes, then didn't get to play the overtime. But yeah, Shai to me is the clear MVP, like back to back, like what he's doing. Like he somehow has improved his efficiency from last season. Like he's scoring 32 a night on hyper efficiency. His playmaking has improved, his defense, to be a guy that scores 32 a night, but then also be a positive defender.
Yeah.
His turnovers, he just does not turn the ball over. He doesn't look like he skipped a beat. He's just like he was right before he got hurt.
So, and exactly, and I think his defense, I don't think he gets enough credit for his defense, especially even in the finals. I thought his defense was really on par and is what makes this OKC defense, part of what makes this OKC defense so impenetrable, especially from the perimeter, but also from a help standpoint. What have you seen in terms of just the opposing matchups, whether it's the Spurs game matchups or what have you, the best way to slow this guy down, outside of just missing shots?
Yeah, I mean, I really think that's your best bet is just to hope that he's off. But that's his whole thing. I think that's what, to me, really separates Shai from the other top tier players is his consistency, like night in, night out. I mean, like there's a reason why he's only 3 games away from tying Wilt Chamberlain for most straight 20-point games. He's got 123 straight games of 20 points or more. He's leading the league in 30-point games for, I believe, the 4th straight season. 3rd or 4th straight season. He's just consistent every night. And even on nights where maybe he starts slow, maybe there'll be a game where he starts off like 1 of 6 from the field. By the end of the night, he's shooting 50% and he's got his 30 points. He's just kind of a machine, quite honestly. And I've seen him, it doesn't matter. Defense will throw doubles at him. They'll throw traps at him. They'll pick him up from half court. You're going to have an elite perimeter defender. And he's so good about making the right reads out of double teams, finding the open man, and making defenses pay, whether it be with his own scoring ability or using his scoring gravity to set the other players up.
Yeah, and then on top of that, you have the craftiness in which he's able to draw fouls, and to me, that is what makes superstars in the league. Is like you have these guys, as you mentioned, his scoring streak. Sometimes that's not from efficiency from shooting. Sometimes that's from 10, 11, 12 points just from the charity stripe, and then before you know it, the guy's got 34 points. So. I think that's what separates Shai from the pack, as you said. I'm going to be curious to see tonight with the Knicks how they intend to guard him, especially in the pick and roll coverages, because with Towns they like to play in a lot of drop coverages, but this guy's a drop coverage killer, especially with his mid range accuracy. So I want to see how they're going to play that and what Shai does there, man.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Like if you play drop against Shai, like his mid range, it just feels like it's automatic, and he's he's shooting over 38% from three this season. So he leads the league in drives for like 5 consecutive seasons. He's number 2 this year to Deni Avdija, but he's number 2. So he drives constantly. He will pick up free throw attempts. He'll kill you in the mid range, but then now he's also shooting over 38% from three. So. Like, what are you going to do with him? I don't know. It's tough. He's just tough. He's just consistent, and he plays like this night in and night out.
Let's talk about the starting 5, because it was just reported earlier that both Shai and iHeart will be available tonight. So, who do you think is going to start for J-Dub? Is that going to be Isaiah Joe or Wiggins? Who do you think starts in his place?
I actually think it'll be Cason Wallace. It'll probably be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Cason Wallace in that J-Dub spot, and then Lou Dort, Chet, and Isaiah Hartenstein. Yeah, they really like having Cason Wallace and having like another perimeter defender out there with Lou Dort, especially against like Brunson, because really, the Thunder don't really care whether it's Dort or Cason Wallace, or if you get a switch and it's the other one, they're fine with that because they're both elite perimeter defenders. So Brunson, he's got to deal with both Dort and Wallace tonight. But just like Shai, though, Brunson's going to get his. Like there's certain guys in the league, no matter how good your perimeter defenders are, no matter how good your defense is, you can just hope to slow him down. Like nobody's going to hold Brunson to under 15 points. So you just kind of hope to slow him down.
Yeah, well, they're going to need him tonight, especially when you talk about the defenders that OKC's going to throw out there, because I'm just thinking about this matchup here from a starting 5 standpoint. So I would have to imagine if Wallace is out there, I think the Knicks would start with Bridges on SGA, probably put Hart on Dort, Brunson on Wallace, probably put OG on Chet, OG Anunoby on Chet, I would think. And then Karl Anthony Towns and Isaiah Hartenstein. I think that would be probably the opening configuration there.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think that is exactly how it'll go. And Cason Wallace, during this stretch that SGA has been out, he's played really, really well. The Thunder gave him more responsibility with the 3 primary ball handlers all being out between Shai, AJ Mitchell, and J-Dub. It kind of fell on Cason Wallace, and he's kind of been more of a 3-and-D guy. In his time here in OKC, but he's been kind of stretching lately. So, that's something to kind of look out for. Cason Wallace has been, a little bit better, a little bit more on ball lately. So, I'm curious to see how that particular matchup goes.
Yeah, seems like he's expanded his game a bit offensively to complement, just being a nightmare as an on-ball defender, man. Is there any concern of potentially losing him just based on his, he's going to be commanding some top dollars in a few years? And any concerns there?
Yeah, so I mean that's the big question mark for the Thunder moving forward. Obviously, like with the J-Dub and Chet, Ricky Maxis kicking in next year, and then Shai Supermax in a couple of years, and then the Isaiah Hartenstein team option next year. Lou Dort's going to be available for an extension. There's a lot of question marks. All that said, I know that Cason Wallace, Thunder fan, if you ask Thunder fans, like that's one of the concerns. Like everybody wants to keep Cason Wallace because he's still incredibly young. The upside seems like unlimited. I think the Thunder will do everything they can to keep Cason Wallace because he is so young. They spent a number 10 overall pick on him. He's the second highest draft pick on this team besides Chet, which is kind of crazy. So, I think they'll do anything they can to keep Cason Wallace because they value him so high. But they do have Lou Dort and Alex Caruso as well. So you got kind of an embarrassment of riches as far as like perimeter defenders go. if they were forced to let him go just because you can't sign everybody, just because the dollar amounts, at least you're going to get a really, really good return for Cason Wallace
Yeah.
if you were forced to trade him. But I think they'll do everything they can to keep him.
Tonight, one of my keys is going to be the battle of the 3 points, 3-point accuracy. Now, last night Chicago wasn't the best for OKC, but they got the flamethrower that torched the Knicks for 30 damn points off the bench that made it a quick night last year at Madison Square Garden, and that is Isaiah Joe, shooting 50% from 3 in the month of February. What's your thoughts, man? Isaiah Joe, man, coming off the bench, absolute flamethrower. Knicks are going to have to run him off the line.
He's been unbelievable. Isaiah Joe has been an elite 3-point shooter for the Thunder throughout, his OKC career. He's been shooting 41% or more every single season, but he took it up another notch with all these injuries. Like, the Thunder needed offense. They needed scoring. They needed points from somewhere. And Isaiah Joe and Jared McCain, two former 76ers, I'm sure Knicks fans can appreciate that.
Yeah.
Philly got to be kicking themselves for letting those two guys go. But Isaiah Joe took it to another level. Like, his shot diet has been so much more versatile this season. Like, before, he would just shoot basically open threes. Now he's shooting them, off the dribble, off the catch, quick trigger, deep, hand in his face. It doesn't matter. So he's shooting more difficult threes, but he's also shooting it at a higher volume and with better accuracy than he ever has. He's been unbelievable this past month.
Yeah, the Knicks are going to have to run him off the line. I'm hoping that how they've simplified that defense in terms of allowing no middles, and I think that's helped them in terms of their rotations and getting guys off the 3-point line. They're going to have to do that tonight against Isaiah Joe, and again, Thunder only shot 20% last night in their win against the Bulls. I don't expect 2 nights in a row of that, so the Knicks' 3-point defense is going to be on par. It's going to be up to the test. But also, what I found interesting is the Thunder in terms of their 3-point defensive accuracy. Last year, number 2 in the league, with opponents shooting 34.8% from 3. This year, 23rd at 36.9. What do you make of that? Is that more just opponents having better shooting nights, or is that a flaw in the Thunder defense there, 3-point defense?
I think it's a little bit of both, plus the injuries. Because J-Dub is such a huge part of the Thunder's defense, because he's such a Swiss Army knife, jack of all trades, can kind of do everything. He can guard 1 through 5 basically. So I think not having J-Dub and Dort and Shea and AJ Mitchell go up and down the roster, not having all these guys healthy. But also, I think some of it is shooting variance. The Thunder will tend to let teams get an open 3-point corner shot, from the corners. It's a strategy thing. They'll funnel shots typically to who they believe is the worst, 3-point threat, and sometimes just let them take open threes. We saw this with PJ Washington in the Mavs series a couple years ago, and I think it was the right strategy. Unfortunately, it backfired because he got on a heater that series. But they will funnel some shots, so some of it I think is that. So I think it's a little bit of all those things. I think that they'll clean that up probably once they're healthy and once they're in the playoffs.
Yeah, that is interesting, and as you said, something where the Knicks are going to have to exploit tonight, because getting those points inside, the Thunder have been ferocious there, and Chet has been much better from a rim protection. Then you've thrown iHeart in there. It's going to get clogged up, especially the way that the Thunder are so aggressive in trying to help and generate those turnovers, which they're so good at. So I'm looking at guys like Mikal Bridges. He's shooting 44% from the corner 3. OG Anunoby, he's shooting 43% from the corners. Josh Hart, 45% from the corners. Shamet, 44. Diawara, 80 in low dosage, but those guys are going to have to knock down those threes. I'm hoping that they have some legs carried over from last night, because as you said, if the Thunder are going to give those opportunities to you, you're going to have to knock down those open corner threes, man.
Absolutely, because you nailed it. The Thunder's whole defensive strategy, they want to take away the paint. They want to take away the rim. They starts with Chet and Hartenstein. They will swarm, throw bodies. They'll usually try to take out, or slow down the other team's best scorers. So, they're going to lock in on Jalen Brunson. They're going to take away the paint. And there will be opportunities for Knicks role players and those guys that you mentioned to get some open threes. And if they're hitting tonight, I mean, that's where the Thunder could be in trouble is if or if the Knicks are hitting some corner threes for sure.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a fascinating matchup as well, just in terms of how that Thunder defense and then, the threes that they give up. But another one to me, as you mentioned, it's the turnovers. It's the turnovers. The Knicks as a whole, when you look at the season in its totality, they are careful with the ball. But when they see the upper echelon defenses, things can get a little bit dicey. Even last night in Toronto, the Raptors boasting the 7th ranked defense. Knicks did cough it up quite a bit there. And I'm a little bit leery tonight, second night of a back-to-back, with the Knicks not being as strong ball handling. That could be once again an area where OKC places their strengths. And if you're going to give them multiple opportunities, multiple possessions, could be a long night for the Knicks. They're going to have to protect that ball, man.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest strengths of this Thunder defense is causing turnovers. They just wreak havoc. Like from Lou Dort, Cason Wallace, Alex Caruso, Shai with his 7-foot wingspan, jumping passing lanes, Chet and Hart protecting the rim. They just deflect so many balls. They get hands on so many balls. They turn the over. And when they turn you over, it leads to quick offense, like especially if Shai is leading in a transition offense or Cason Wallace. It's usually automatic points. They love to go defense to offense. Probably, I think, the biggest strength of this Thunder defense.
On top of that, another area of my concern, especially for the Knicks and their improved defense, an area that the Thunder can get them on, especially if they're getting those turnovers, the transition defense for the Knicks and the Thunder's ability to generate those transition points. Still one of the best teams in the league in points per possession in transition. From your vantage point, what makes them so dangerous in that regard?
Yeah, I think it's because they do cause so many turnovers and they immediately run. Like, they love to run. They're young.
Yeah.
They're fast. They go all out, full effort. And as soon as like a ball is loose or deflected or there's a steal, you'll watch it tonight. You'll see like 1 through 5. They will all just sprint to the other side. And Shai is so good in transition. Cason Wallace is so athletic. Like every night, like it'll probably happen tonight. It's a nightly thing. Cason Wallace will steal the ball and go for a fast break dunk. Like it just happens every night. They're young and fast, and they love to get out and run.
Yeah, from the Thunder defensive standpoint, they have been deploying a zone. Is that a feature of the defense, or is that just a Daniel just throwing it out there sometimes just to muddy things up?
Yeah, he will throw it out there. They can really kind of play any sort of way, whether it's man, whether it's zone, what have you. They believe in all their defenders. They believe they can switch anybody. Lou Dort will try to fight off any sort of switches. He fights hard through any sort of screens. They believe so much in all their perimeter defenders and the rim protection. They'll play straight up, but then they also believe in their switchability and versatility, basically 1 through 5. They'll play any sort of way that they feel is going to be an advantage for that particular matchup.
For the Knicks, I'm going to be looking to see how they create advantages for Karl-Anthony Towns, because it hasn't been something that they've been able to do consistently. But against the Chet and the iHeart matchup, curious to see which way Towns goes here. Is he going to be primarily on the perimeter? Is he going to look to pop out a little bit more on pick and pops, on trail threes? Or is he going to try to get inside on a team that doesn't really allow that much? And for him, he's the guy that will turn it over when he turns his back and is susceptible to help defenses. So Towns, who's been playing well, I'm curious to see how he handles that front court now with iHeart and Chet.
Yeah, and if he does try to score in the paint, like when the Thunder face, scoring bigs, guys that can score in the paint, they'll put Hart on you, they'll put Chet on you. Chet will come from the weak side to help, but they'll also swarm to the ball. Like you'll see it, like Dort or Caruso or Shai. Caruso, not only are you going to have to deal with either Chet and or Hart down there, they're also going to send the guards at you to kind of swipe at the ball and just make life difficult for you in the paint.
Yeah. You mentioned the McCain factor, and again, I talk about the rich getting richer. People thought the Sixers bailed on him a little too quickly, but when you had the Edgecombe factor there, you have Grimes there. I thought it was a little bit tricky, but here come the Thunder with just chump change to throw at you. Like, that costs a couple bucks. That's nothing for us. And now you get a kid. He looks like he's reclaiming his career there. Couple of 20-point games, double digits in 7 of his last 11, and you still got him on his rookie contract. That a huge home run there for Sam Presti to bolster that bench.
Yeah, I thought it was a steal when it happened because I was high on Jerry McCain. I do a lot of draft work too. And I was high on him coming into the draft. I thought he was one of the best shooters in that draft. And then he looked like the rookie of the year before he got hurt. He was the leader in rookie of the year. And then, he was coming back from a couple of injuries with the 76ers. I just felt like this was a dude with so much upside. He was so young. He was obviously a great scorer and shooter. Like to trade him away for a late first rounder and then a few second rounders. I get that they have Maxey and Edgecombe and Grimes, but to me, you can never have enough guys that can come in and score 15 and shoot 40% from 3. Look, I know that the 76ers has some guards in front of them, but the Thunder have so many guards. Like just off the bench, you got Cason Wallace and Caruso and Wiggins and Isaiah Joe and all these guys. But they still finding a place for Jerry McCain. To me, if you're talented, you're going to find a role. With a good team, they're going to find a way to use you. I thought it was short-sighted from the 76ers side. Maybe they'll get somebody good with that late first-round pick, but to me, it's going to be tough to get somebody as good as McCain.
Yeah. How does Daniel typically handle the second nights of a back-to-back from the depth and from the rotation standpoint? I've been noticing with Mike Brown, especially as of late when he's trying to get these guys into more of a rhythm, he's still going with the same 8-9 guys, not really going any deeper. I'm curious to see if they do that again tonight against a speedy, athletic Oklahoma City Thunder team on the second night of a back-to-back, because what we've seen from the Knicks standpoint is as the game wears on, naturally so, they start to lose their legs a little bit. So I'm curious to see if Brown goes, obviously he'll go Alvarado, he'll go Shamet, but does he even go maybe a Clarkson as well on top of Diawara? How does Daniel typically handle the rotation there?
Yeah, he likes to play all his guys, quite honestly, every night. Like, the Thunder are deep, and you might see them play 12 guys tonight. And part of that could be because it's a back-to-back, but part of that's just because they'll play 12 guys any given night. That said, they did do something a little bit differently this time. Normally on a back-to-back, if they're going to rest guys, they'll rest them on the second night of a back-to-back. I think it was, there's a couple things here. Obviously, the Knicks, much bigger threat than the Bulls, and they probably felt like, hey, Shai and Hartenstein need to sit a game because they're both coming back from injury. Probably felt like they could take care of the Bulls without Shai and Hartenstein, and that paid off last night. With it being on ESPN tonight, being in Madison Square Garden against a really, really tough Knicks team, they switched it up, and they rested on the first night of back-to-back instead of the second night of back-to-back.
Yeah, going to be interesting to see there. But one big loss, and Knicks fans were kind of upset about this, was that, the Knicks, they don't play Mitchell Robinson on back-to-backs. They usually have him skip one and play one. They chose to play him in the game against the Raptors. In the win, he gets kicked in the surgically repaired ankle. So to add insult to injury, literally, they say he's all right now, but he's going to be missing a game to go up against his old pal Ihart. You got Chet, and then the other Jalen Williams, who has improved this year as well. So the Thunder, another one of my keys is going to be the rebounding battle here. But with the Knicks down Mitchell Robinson, I'm not so sure if they can win it, man, because you got those 3 guys there.
Yeah, and I know Mitchell Robinson is a big part of the rebounding battle. I think he averages near 9 rebounds a game, I think. Yeah. And I side note, I'm just a big Mitchell Robinson fan. I've followed his career, and so I was bummed out to see he's not going to be playing tonight. But yeah, I think that when the Chet Hartenstein double bigs combo is out there, the Thunder really, really good on the boards. Like Chet has been rebounding really well lately, better than ever. He had 21 boards, a career high against the Nuggets the other day. And then, like you said, J-Will, he had 16 rebounds last night against the Bulls. So when they got all 3 of those guys out there, the Thunder, used to be a pretty small team, but they're much, much better on the boards than they used to be. Much improved.
Still missing my guy Ihart, man. He's a good guy. Sent him a little congratulations when he won the chip his parents were big fans of the show. And I told Knicks fans when he came here 3 years ago, that was my number one target in free agency. People were like, who is this guy, Isaiah Hartenstein? I was like, don't sleep on him. He can pass. He's thorough. He's rugged. Tibbs is going to love this guy. And so much so that he ended up being overpriced for the Knicks come that free agency. And I remember when the Thunder lost to, I think it was the Mavs that season. I said, that playoffs, I said, watch, their number one target is going to be iHeart. And Knicks fans were like, CP, you're putting bad juju out there. Don't say that. First day of free agency, Pressy gassed up the jet, went out to Oregon and brought him back. No questions asked. Yeah. Gave him the check. It's a good guy, man.
You know ball. Ball. He's been an absolute game changer. Not to pour salt in the wound or anything with that, Knicks fans, but he's been like the missing piece. Like adding him and Alex Caruso. The Thunder were coming off a season where they were the number one seed. They had won 57 games, but it was clear they needed another big. And to add a guy like Hartenstein, he immediately made them not only a bigger team, he made them a tougher team. Added that rebounding, added more defense, to be able to play double bigs or to be able to stagger Chet and Hartenstein. And then, like you said, his passing, I think, is so underrated. He's a great passer. He always finds the right cutter. But then also, like, his screens, like his pick setting for Shai and the space that he provides for Shai and AJ and J-Dub on their drives. He's a great connective piece offensively, and then his little push shot sometimes just floater. Automatic. Like if everything else in the offense, and I know Knicks fans know this, if everything else in the offense on a possession just falters, just give it to Hartenstein. He'll do his little push shot. It's a great bailout.
Yeah, there it is, man. CB the franchise, Brandon Raybar on the ones and twos, man. Knicks and Thunder tipping off in just a couple of hours. Thunder coming into this one 3.5-point favorites. What do you think, man? Give me your prediction, man. What do you think?
Honestly, I think this is going to be a great game. I think that line feels about right. I would favor the Thunder by a little bit. But in Madison Square Garden, the Knicks are playing so good. The defense, I know over these past couple months, especially since the All-Star break, has kind of taken to another level. I've seen what the Knicks did with the San Antonio Spurs. I think this is going to be a great, fun matchup. I think, to me, it's one of the ones that I circled, like, on my Thunder calendar. Like, this kind of like a must-watch, one to look forward to, especially with it being nationally televised. I expect a good, close, competitive game. I got to go with the Thunder, though, in a very, very close one.
Okay.
Close one, though.
I'll go with the Knicks in a close one if they got to keep the turnovers low. Don't let the Thunder get extra possessions and extra points in transition. Run them off the three-point line. Isaiah Joe, 30 points off the bench last year. They got to remember that as they watch film today. Get Isaiah Joe off that three-point line. Look, Shai's going to get his points, but I think if that Knicks defense can keep the Thunder below average, especially from three, they'll have a good shot. They got to control the board somehow, some way. They got to end possessions. It's going to be a little bit tougher because OKC's front line is going to be bigger in size than the Knicks tonight, especially with no Isaiah Hartenstein, and I don't really trust Ariel Hukporti in that spot against even a Jalen Williams. Like, I don't trust him out there. He's a little bit too undisciplined. And then the Knicks supporting cast, as you mentioned, Brunson should be able to get his points, but if a Cason Wallace, if a Dorton, those guys make it tough on him, then I'm looking at a Bridges, and OG, Karl Anthony Towns, and then that bench unit, Landry Shamet, who's been a flamethrower from three. A Shamet, a Diawara, like those guys are going to have to chip in. They're going to be in an uphill battle, especially on the second night of a back-to-back. But those are my keys, man. If they can do that, I think the Knicks win in a close one, man. That's what I'm doing, man.
I think you nailed it. And definitely one of the Thunder's three-point shooting, like when they're hitting from three, they feel like they're impossible to stop, but they are prone to nights where they're ice cold from three. And if it's one of those nights, if the Knicks put pressure on them, that's where you can get the Thunder. If they're off from three, if you can make it difficult for them to score points, for sure, in the half court.
There you go, man. Well, I put my calendar up there. But these two teams will meet again later on in March, and so hopefully you'll join us again to preview that one, man. So we'll see what happens tonight, 7 o'clock at the world's most famous arena. Appreciate the time, man.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me on again. Yeah, just let me know if you want me to come on for that other one. Just hit me up. I'm happy to. Absolutely.
All right, once again, that was our guy, Brandon Raybar, on the ones and twos, man. Salute to Brandon for chapping in with us. Game preview. I told you I had to redeem myself from yesterday's. No disrespect to the young whippersnapper. I had to bring in a solid guest, man. We had to cover this thing. What do you guys think of the chat? Give me your thoughts here on this, man. Give me your thoughts on this game tonight. I'm very hyped for this one. Looking forward to it. Hopefully the Knicks can live up to it. But certainly they have a tall order. They are up against it. Just like the Detroit game, the way that we previewed that one. Got to give respect where respect is due. Those are the champs, and the Knicks are going to be up against it, especially the way that they handled the Knicks last year. Destroyed us. Embarrassed us. We lose by 40 last year at the Garden, so we got to come to play. And on the second night of a back-to-back for both teams, even Stevens. So let's go. Can't make too much excuses whether you win or lose. Can't make too much excuses there. Or when you lose, if you lose, rather. But they're not going to lose. I got faith in Brunson and the boys, man. Going to be a good game. And hopefully they can get this one. We've been battling that. Can they beat the elite teams challenge for the last 2 seasons? They win this one. Boy, oh boy, post-game is going to be on fire. You can imagine the Knicks fans jumping out the window, and it changes. The narrative changes, whether you like it or not. Does it guarantee anything? Of course not, but certainly would be something to feel good about as these guys head to then Denver as part of the gauntlet. The gauntlet continues. So, yeah, man, I'm amped for this one, no question about it. Salute to everybody in the chat, my Facebook fam. Salute to you guys. Joseph Kovaleski, salute. Says, I just got NBA League Pass to watch my Knicks last night, and they're on tonight looking real strong. Kimberly Beasley on the Facebook side. Salute. Denver Henry, I see you in here. Shout out to my franchise channel members. Salute to you guys. So tonight we'll have CK2K on play-by-play, and then we will have yours truly, Alex Rotaros, for KFTV Postgame Live. Triple header here on the #1 show for the fans, by the fans. So make sure that you guys do the damn thing. Like, share, subscribe. Throw this in your group chat. We are available in audio podcast format. So if you have to go on from the video from YouTube, sign up on Apple Podcasts, sign up for Spotify. I will have the podcast up for this one in just about 15 minutes to get you guys going for the ride home, for the commute home. Isaiah, I see you in the chat, man. Salute Terrence P. Salute to you, man. Zach from LA, Fabian, Papa Giorgio, salute. NYC B-Ball. He says 110-105. Yeah, throw your score predictions in the chat. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you guys think about that one. And speaking of predictions, shout out to our sponsor of today's show. That is Prize Picks. Prize Picks has returned to New York, and use our code KFTV to get $50 in bonus lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. So shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring the show and returning to sponsor KFTV. I'm going to make my sheet after this. Going to eat a late lunch and then make my sheet. And the way you play Prize Picks is real simple, man. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. That's it. If your picks are right, you cash in. And with the Knicks rolling, I'm looking at Brunson points, maybe stacking a couple of projections in the same lineup. That's one of my favorite features. You can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. So you can go points, assist, threes, and then you're just going to predict more or less on the given projection that Prize Picks has. Now they've got early payouts. So if your player gets off to a hot start, you can lock in your winnings before the game even ends. Prize Picks, once, as I said, is available in all 50 states. It's quick to deposit, withdrawals are fast and secure, and you can even follow the social feed to see what the community is building. So don't miss out. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code KFTV to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Okay, great show, man. Shout out to Brandon. Great guy, great guest. And shout out to you guys at home for tapping in. Keith Paris, I see you. Shout out to Keith. I haven't seen you in here in a while. Shout out Keith Paris. iHeart can't guard Towns. He's going to have to dominate, man. Going to have to dominate. I wish Block Nest Monsters was playing, but just going to have to go with the soldiers that we got. And hopefully Huck Porty steps up to the job. So either way, great show, fam. We'll see you later on tonight, play-by-play, and then post-game live, the #1 show. Let me show y'all on the towel. For the fans, by the fans. Salute, man. Great show. And we'll see you guys later. Quick break. And we back to it. My X factor for the Knicks, Carl. It's going to be Carl. X factor is Carl. For the Thunder, to me, is Isaiah Joe. Got to get him off that three-point line. Can't have him kill us. So it's going to be Carl. They're going to need Carl to step up. This is one of those nights where he's going to have to score and get it going. Yeah, Jemison. I would put Jemison out there as well. I would definitely put Jemison out there. What do you guys think? Who's your X factor for tonight for both teams? Let me know in the comment section. I'm going with Cat. Big Bodega. You know, Mike Brown was very had a lot of high praise for him after that Raptors game in terms of his defensive intensity. Hey, Chet Holmgren is coming to play tonight. Let's go. Show it tonight. Staying out of foul trouble. You're going to have to stay out of foul trouble as well. Have to. So let's see how it goes. And then I can't believe it's a 7 o'clock start, man. So that's why I got to go get the rest of my day finished up and so I can get back and watch this game. All right, so I'll tap in with you guys later on. Mike Rivera, I see you. Shout out to the replay gang, of course. And appreciate you for tapping in live with us, man. Salute to the replay gang. I'm out of here. See you guys in a little bit, man. Let's go Knicks, as always. Peace.